It's past midnight. You're finally done with class. You step out of the bathroom, and something in a white dress floats silently past the end of the hallway. Not walks, floats. And when you look toward where it went, there's nothing there. Just dark corridor and cold air. Do you scream? Do you run? Do you tell someone? I did none of those things. I just put my head down and walked back to class as fast as I could. And the next night, 2 of my classmates disappeared. This happened in the fall of 2019. I was 15 years old, and I had been a bad student my entire life. Not because I didn't care, but because no matter how hard I tried, the grades just never came. My family's answer to this was tutoring. Endless tutoring. When my classmates went home after school to watch TV or play video games, I was still sitting in some extra class somewhere, staring at worksheets under fluorescent light. I genuinely believe my life as a struggling student started before I was born. The school I attended was a K-12 public school, one of those places that was supposed to be a shining example of local education when it first opened. The high school program had a decent reputation. Parents pulled strings to get their kids in, but the middle school side, disorganized, underfunded, and honestly, a little unsettling. The school sat far outside the main part of town. The nearest neighborhood was several miles away. And there was a story that had been floating around since the school was built, that the land it sat on used to be an old cemetery. Apparently, it couldn't be zoned for housing, so a school went up instead. I remember coming for a placement exam when the school was newly built. The back half of the campus was still under construction. From the classroom windows, you could clearly see mounds of upturned earth behind the building. Nobody ever talked about what had been moved. By the time I hit 9th grade, my grades were still struggling, but I got lucky. My homeroom teacher that year was Ms. Henderson. She was around 40, tough but fair, and genuinely invested in her students. Her own son was in my class. State exams were coming up. Ms. Henderson wasn't taking any chances with the lower performing students, so she started keeping us after school every single night, from 8:30 all the way until midnight. No excuses, no early exits. She sat with us the whole time. We weren't allowed to leave the classroom freely. Bathroom breaks were scheduled. You went when she said you could go, in order by seat row, one at a time. On a Monday night, it was my turn for the bathroom. It was almost 11:30. I had been holding it for over an hour at that point, so I moved fast. The bathroom was down the hall from our classroom, near the freshman homerooms. Not far. I finished up and was heading back out when I glanced through the narrow bathroom window into the courtyard below. Every light in the high school dormitory across the way was off. The whole building was dark and silent. Our classroom was the only lit room left in the entire school. And then, just as I stepped through the bathroom door into the hallway, something moved. A figure in a white dress, drifting past the far end of the corridor, not walking, not running, floating. I froze. My brain told me it was just someone in a white shirt. My gut told me something completely different. I stared at the end of the hallway. Nothing. Empty. I put my head down and walked back to class without looking up once. I didn't say a word to anyone, not Ms. Henderson, not my classmates. I just sat back down, stared at my notes, and told myself it was nothing. The next night was worse. State exams were 1 week away, so Ms. Henderson extended the session to 12:30. I was already on edge from the night before. I barely drank water the whole evening, so I wouldn't have to use the bathroom. At midnight, we started packing up. Ms. Henderson stepped out to grab some materials from the office and told us to wait in the hallway by the classroom door. The moment she left, 2 of my classmates, Jake and Mia, started goofing around in the corridor, chasing each other, laughing too loud for midnight. They sprinted to the far end of the hallway, and then they were gone. We figured they went to the bathroom, Then 10 minutes passed, then 15. My classmate Tyler said they probably just snuck out early. Those two were always pulling stuff like that. When Ms. Henderson came back and saw they were missing, she sent Tyler down the hall to find them. Tyler came back 30 seconds later. His face was white. He looked at Ms. Henderson and said, "There's something down there." Ms. Henderson didn't believe him. She assumed Jake and Mia had left early and sent the rest of us home. I got to school the next morning and heard the news before I even made it to my locker. At 6 o'clock that morning, the bodies of Jake and Mia had been found. They were discovered at the entrance to the girls' dormitory on the other side of the campus. I stood there and couldn't speak, couldn't move. And then someone pointed out something that made my blood go cold. The window of the third-floor bathroom, the one I had looked through 2 nights ago, faced directly across the courtyard to the dormitory entrance, the exact spot where they were found. Whatever I had seen floating past that hallway at 11:30 at night, I think it had already gone looking for someone. I never found out the full truth of what happened that night. The school didn't give us answers. Our parents weren't given clear answers either. Things were quietly handled, quietly buried. The way things always are in places built on ground that was never really empty. What I know is this: I spent every night of that final exam week sitting as still as possible, staring straight ahead, not drinking water, not moving, not looking down that hallway. Some things, once you've seen them, you can't unsee. And some hallways, no matter how many lights are on, you should never walk to the end of alone.